Okay, eggs, 18 count, perfect, got it. Milk, ooh, 1%, yes. I can't forget the chocolate for the kids, gotta get the chocolate. Bread, split top wheat, there it is, perfect, got that in the basket, and toilet paper. Toilet paper. Toilet paper? They're out of toilet paper? On our last episode, Replace the Role, we talked a little bit about our pet peeves and how our responses can either lead to success or derail us. We've kicked it up a notch this week. Good luck even finding a role. COVID-19 is now a reality for us here in the United States, and although it's leading some to panic, others are bonding together in faith. We've all now found ourselves on the same path of isolation. Let's talk about what it means to embrace interdependency during COVID-19. Hello, everyone. I'm Miriah Turner.
I'm Brittany Turner.
Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, Path and Posture. We talk about the different paths that God has us on, the posture that we have while we walk those paths, whether it's married life or life with children or our jobs, everything under the sun. I feel like we've been talking about and we're going to get to. This week, we're talking about COVID. Almost everyone has been affected by COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who hasn't. Did you go to the grocery store this week?
My husband has.
Okay. There you go. Good job, Brendan. Good job. You went to the grocery store. You know, my husband went once too, after we read some kind of news that was a little freaky, thinking about like shutdowns and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to go grab some cans. And so he was that guy grabbing some of the cans. And he was, rationing though. He wasn't clearing out. Right. He was grabbing some cans. I sent Mom a picture of one of my grocery carts. It was one, again. A couple days later, we got some other news saying shut down something. And so we're, okay, well, let's go stock up. I have not had a cart look like that since we lived with Mom. And I used to shop for the entire family. That I would like, there was nothing, no space left in my cart. And I had to do that also because I went to go do my online shopping with Walmart Pickup, which is free. Love it. Use it all the time. And they canceled it.
They did.
They had stopped.
At least it was a couple days.
No, they shut it down for like 4 days or something. And it just came back up yesterday.
Right.
And it was the longest pickup line I've ever sat in.
That's what I usually do.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was mayhem. And did it feel end of the world-ish to you? Oh, you didn't go, but you saw pictures.
Yeah.
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 It felt like an I Am Legend type thing.
Well, I went to Walgreens and it was fine.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. Pharmacies, I feel like I don't know.
Are going unnoticed.
Yeah. People run to the grocery stores. Honestly, the groceries at pharmacies are kind of uppriced anyway. So
right. That is true.
But did they have toilet paper there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The hidden secret of Flower Mound.
We're also in Dallas.
Where we have it all.
And so, I mean, we're not in a rural area. And so.
Almost. You can go a couple streets up and it's pretty rural. But why did the toilet paper? Why was that the first to go? Why in a panic?
No idea.
It was so bizarre.
I think a lot of people are scared of being forced to stay in their home.
Yeah. If they did get COVID.
Yeah. But I saw this one dad do the math on how much toilet paper is being taken and how much you really need. And so these people who are taking the 30 rolls from Costco, like multiple packs of them. Yeah. He did the math on how long it's going to
take for him to burn through that. It's going to be wild. So I did see there's a ton of hilarious memes that are circulating regarding COVID, regarding the toilet paper crisis. One person said, yeah, you grabbed all the toilet paper, but I grabbed all the plungers. Good luck.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It's been very eye-opening this
I think my favorite ones are the homeschooling ones.
What was that?
The homeschooling memes.
Oh, with everybody now homeschooling their children because we're all stuck inside?
Yeah, there was one child that he writes in his journal, and he wrote the first day of homeschooling, and he was saying, Mom is so confused. This is not going good.
Not going good. But his sentence structure looked really well.
Yes, it was really good.
Yes. So he's doing good in his homeschool.
For 8 years old.
Despite Mom not doing well. And the other one that you and Sierra were sending along was the guy that was toasting to himself at the dinner party.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
And he was just meeting
clinking
the mirror.
against the mirror. three different people of himself. Yes. So I feel like this has been very eye opening for us, for a lot of people, in terms of ourselves and society in this reaction with COVID. So there's a lot to unpack here. And one thing that I did just want to talk about was just interdependence and what that looks like with
Mhm.
COVID. I think a lot of people are stuck in their homes now, and there's been just this reality of dependency that maybe our culture, our society has created this dependent personality within some people of needing to be around people, to find that affirmation, to find their self-worth. So dependency and codependency, I feel like, a core characteristic of codependency is that reliance for approval and your self-identity and other people. So two things I feel like have really come to light when people are just like, I can't take this anymore, stuck inside. When, yes, it's annoying. Yes, it's not healthy to be stuck inside. But at the same time, there is a purpose within this. It's been very eye opening and enlightening. And
Mhm.
there's the opportunity to do a lot of soul searching
Mhm.
and to realize maybe some people do have a sense of dependency or codependency. The independent people are the ones that we've seen in the grocery stores hoarding and stocking up and not looking out for anyone else but themselves.
Right.
So I feel like those are the three things: dependency, codependency, independency, that we've seen that have been really eye opening and negative. But what we need to be striving for is interdependence. I feel like as Christians, as believers, this is a great time to let the light of Christ shine and think about others. And, interdependency is that reliance on each other, that people hang on, they're dependent on each other. And it's mutual,
Mhm.
and it's uplifting for both parties. There's nothing parasitic about it. And so in this time, it's been really beautiful. The moms group that we're in on Facebook, they've been saying, whoever needs help, let us know. If there's an elderly person in the group that can't go into the store because they're afraid of the virus or they're at high risk, let us know. Like, that is a beautiful form of interdependency.
Right. And then
And
also what they're doing for social this is and we've kind of been against social media more often than not on the podcast, but what I've been watching is we've been rallying toward our local businesses a lot
mhm,
quicker
mhm,
because all they have to do is raise their hands and or use some hashtag and then now we're all there.
mhm,
We're all supporting them. And I see a lot of platforms kind of adjusting too. So Instagram changed to stay at home, and then what it like updates and takes what from your friends what they're doing at home. You can add that to the stay at home reel.
oh,
So it helps inspire and kind of see what everybody's kind of doing.
mhm,
And then next door has a map. And if you are capable of shopping for an elderly person, you just star your house or
mhm.
whatnot. And then it lets people who sign on know that you're available.
And how wonderful is that? Like, with Nextdoor, you're obviously a neighbor. You're in the same zip code. I used to use Instacart and a couple other grocery services. I never know these people. They're always different every time. And I tried it the other day when Walmart went down. I couldn't get my it's the next availability was like 3 days. I was like, "Oh my goodness." So, I think it's great that people are stepping up on Nextdoor and just making themselves available, literally being the hands and feet of Christ and being a servant to one another. And with the interdependency, obviously, I feel like a prime example is marriage. You're relying on each other, you're working for each other's greater good. As a society, I think one way to look at it is definitely like how farmers supply the stores and the stores supply the shops. And, we, as a society, they all rely on each other. So, emotionally, as a society, now that we've all been separated, what does that interdependence look like? How are we able to reach out still and encourage one another and not enable any bad behavior? Because honestly, I've seen a lot of that too on social media. A lot of people, social media shaming people for gathering.
Hmm.
Especially today, I saw one. There was a bunch of people that gathered outside of a restaurant. obviously above how many people should be gathering right now and ignoring the law, the rules, the regulations. But it doesn't help to take that online, to take that en
Right, so
masse.
somebody can
You
be
know,
a
it's like I've seen a
keyboard
lot of
warriors.
uplifting things, but then you also still see the negative things. So I feel like for the most part, people have had a light go off in their heart and their minds. And for the most part, I've seen social media take a turn for the better,
Well,
honestly.
it's been interesting because I wonder now how many people are thinking about being in a gathering with somebody and not wanting to be on their phone, but actually look at somebody again
Mhm.
and not be 6 feet away from them,
Yeah.
and so it's like I enjoy being around people now and
Mhm.
not and just putting my phone away and just being like, "I see you."
Yeah. Well, it's been neat. I feel like I've seen so many more people out in my neighborhood
Walking. All the
walking,
time.
everything.
We just recently put out our you and I are in the same neighborhood.
Mhm.
So we
Not for
put
long.
No, we are in the same
Yeah, you're
neighborhood.
across the street.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You'll know some different people
It's the same
they won't come walking
neighborhood.
in my neighborhood. Yeah, but it's across a little busier
Oh
street,
my
so you got a
gosh.
different group
Oh
over
my
there.
gosh. So anyway, well, we put out our backyard climber. We put it in the front yard. And I just told our neighbors, like, if you've got kids that are like 3 years old and they need just a little bit extra
Mhm.
energy, we clean it daily. Just when you're on your
Well, that's
walk,
good.
jump on the climber
Yeah.
and then have a couple minutes and then continue your walk.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
so, yeah, we pull it in at night, clean it, and put it out in the morning, clean
that's
it,
nice.
and then intermittently through the day. Just make sure, because it's not like it's being rushed by kids like a park would.
Mhm.
And so we're just trying to find like little ways,
Little ways to love and serve
corn
others.
toss or what do they say beanbag toss?
Cornhole.
Yeah, cornhole.
It's either cornhole or beanbag toss. Someone else called it something weird.
But like putting that out,
Yeah.
and saying, just have a game and then be on your way.
Mhm.
I think I see people on their scooters and these kids who are out of school trying to figure out ways to do, but they can't go to parks because these parks
No, they're
aren't
not
being
safe.
clean.
No.
And so,
Well, some people, they might have it and they don't even know it.
right.
And then by that time, it's too late. Where did you go all that day? And you exposed all those places. So that's why this thing's like, gosh, it's so rapidly spreading because people didn't know,
Hmm.
And so now that testing is getting better, I feel like we're becoming more knowledgeable about it. But now regulations are getting more strict. So people who've been following the rules, like you and I, we've been, homebound for a week. Other
Hmm.
people have been frolicking at the parks and stuff. It's like, don't do that. Don't go.
And they're like, another week. And we're like,
Another week.
no.
Yeah. So hopefully it just slows down. So lots of people have been confined to their homes. And like we said, with people being outside, you're seeing your neighbors more. There's also been an awakening of the family unit. Like, have you seen that?
Hmm.
It just families coming together. Yes, there's been a little bit of a struggle in it, but mostly it's been beautiful. And your friend had a really great post about it.
Yeah. So she's a mama of, I think, four now. And she had said that we're being called to completely readjust our lives, not just stay at home and watch Netflix, but that we're called to learn to live in close quarters with our family, that you may have been more separate from, learn how to remain joyful amidst constant uncertainty and the temptation to worry, learn how to homeschool, learn how to find energy, quote unquote, alone for the extroverts, or constantly surrounded by the noise of your children
Hmm.
for the introverts,
Yeah.
and that we learn how to find peace and joy in the mundane and to live our life on a day-to-day basis in these ways, and that they're not small things, they're difficult, and recognizing, because like you think, oh, we're just staying at home is a
No,
small thing, but it
no.
is, we're seeing and we fool ourselves. That's where I think the frustration comes from, is when we fool ourselves to thinking that this should be easy,
Hmm.
but it's not.
Hmm.
It's not easy, and it's difficult, and we have to, in the midst, like what you were saying with interdependence, figure us out in this immediately
Hmm.
while extending our hands and saying, how can we help?
Hmm.
So it's,
Yeah, there's been an adjustment on all fronts.
yeah. And
You're
so
trying to help everybody outside your home, and then you're trying to help everybody in your home because
it's
now
it's not so
everybody's
much
home.
we need to change like
No,
who we are. I don't need to become an introvert because
no, it's just an adjustment, and I think
exactly.
in a realization. Think about how the family unit was designed. We weren't designed to come home at night and everybody sits on their iPads or watches their Netflix, and we have our TV dinners, and then we just kind of do our own. Like we are now well, some families might still be doing that, but think of the opportunity. I personally, I would get sick of putting my kids in front of the screen every single day. There's like one day, like Saturday morning, I sit my kids in front of cartoons and I say, I'm sleeping.
And you put it on mute
You
and they learn how to
enjoy.
read
Yeah, seriously,
the
put it on. Yeah.
captions.
So then you're still learning. No, but no, it's such an opportunity now that we have all of this time in our hands with our children. What are you going to do with it? You mentioned your friend had mentioned homeschooling. I took a crack at it this week. It was challenging, but I woke up one morning and I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I'm in the middle. My kids are on spring break this week. They've been
Same.
called off next week because of COVID. So technically this week was supposed to be in my schedule. And I'm like, what am I doing? Granted, I didn't get to take them anywhere. If it was a normal spring break, we would have gone to parks. We would have gone to some like Play Street Museum or something fun. You know, I don't know. But no, we were confined to the house. And so I took a crack at homeschooling. And it was amazing watching my kids just come alive and get excited. And my daughter every morning would come to me, what are we going to learn today? What are we going to learn today? And I
I know
tried to,
exactly what daughter is.
yes. And I tried to structure, because the morning that I woke up so defeated, like, what am I going to do with this? I can't do a whole nother half a week and a whole nother week next week with the whole COVID cancellation of this. I just need structure. And so I made a schedule. And so my kids had a science, like, and I did like 30-minute increments and it was very fluid. You know, if something really kind of went longer, if they were really into it, then we kept with it. But it's science and math and Spanish. And I try to do history. We did Egyptians, which is like my favorite, social studies. And so we just tackled all these little things and we spent a day learning about volcanoes, and another day they wanted airplanes. And so, yeah, we just really did some fun stuff. And it was neat watching their minds come to life, their imaginations come to life. And all of a sudden, the things that we were learning became part of their playtime. Then the little people that they're playing with in their bedroom are running from the volcanoes or something, and it's just, you bring an element when you put in that work, I feel like. And of course, my husband's going to be like, oh, you should totally homeschool now because you love it and you're so good at it. I'd be like, I don't know about that yet. I came up with my own curriculum this week. If somebody just hands me a curriculum, then maybe I would understand it. I don't know. But yeah, you put in this effort of like structuring your day, coming up with content for the day and wanting your kids to grab hold of something. And then it just becomes so rewarding. So that's been one of my rewarding things
You have
in
to
the whole
also,
COVID thing.
you're teaching them your favorite things.
Yeah, I know. I haven't hit the stuff that I haven't liked.
So
I tried addition. We've done addition and subtraction, and one of my kids really struggled with addition. I'm like, yeah, okay, we're gonna have to hit this again tomorrow because I could tell she's really, math class is not her favorite part of the day. She's really struggling with that.
Well,
so.
one of the things, so I had this past week, I'm currently trying to transition our preschool that I work at onto an online platform where we create these kits and they have these guides for the curriculum that we already have. But I did run across a homeschool teacher that was trying to let everybody know, as a teacher and as somebody who has grown adults that went through, homeschooling, you only need 1 to 2 hours of homeschool, of serious work, and then everything else, kind of like what you were saying, becomes, they apply it
part of the day
to their dinners. Like if you're working on dinner together, you're doing math, and
Well, we went and made cupcakes. I'm like, okay, how many ingredients we have? We have water, eggs, and and the mix.
And it's
'Cause
like,
I did a box.
even if we're not Sierra here,
Yeah, no.
even if you were like to go to a grocery store, if it was safer, you would do your math. We have this much money. What can we get? And so I saw a couple of parents doing that before. But it's really, honestly, when a part of the adjusting is to break down your own patience.
Yeah.
And kind of look down and be like, oh, there's a little one beside me. I really need
so
to
much patience.
Yes, I really need to kind of break everything down that's going on in my mind, as quick as it is, onto another level. Like I actually had to try to talk to Remington about the COVID, and and I had she didn't understand what it was. It was just this ball with spiky things on it, all from the pictures. And so I had to talk to her that it's a problem in the world right now. And so she calls it the problem. And so when she prays, she talks to Jesus about it and she calls it the problem.
Yeah.
And so like, even breaking something so serious down, she doesn't understand that people are dying. She doesn't understand that it's creating a really, really bad sickness and what that feels like, she doesn't understand.
Mhm.
And so it's and just for something like that, now we're applying to math and science
Yeah,
and, you know,
exactly.
breaking everything down,
Yeah.
even of the things that we don't like. It's so fun to teach. Like, I love teaching art.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so
that yeah, let's get the Play-Doh
we did
out and
coffee filter art,
yeah, I saw that. It
and
looked
then
great.
we did, letter bugs where you take a letter of the alphabet and you turn it into a bug, a familiar
Well, that's
bug.
fun.
But then you gotta teach them things that aren't fun,
Yeah, I
which
know.
is like handwriting without tears
Yeah.
or how to actually hold a pen and,
Mhm.
you know, these kind of things.
Yeah. So it's come with its blessings. Another one that I might add is although I still do Facebook Marketplace and Sierra's like, stop shopping. I go with like a can of Lysol and I spray down whatever I'm picking up and then I take it home and I open it up and I spray it down even more and wipe it all down. So I've been Facebook shopping for games. I've become desperate to like fill time in my schedule with my kids, but not just like homeschool or what you're talking about, but fun stuff. And so like I grabbed Candyland, Shoots and Ladders, Trouble, all these fun. Sorry, I'm still working on the sorry, but all these fun classic games. And I got Tetris on Nintendo 64 for mom.
Yeah, it's for
All these,
mom.
yes,
Uh-huh, that's for you.
no, for me, I'm mom. Um, and so I got all these little things and I played Candyland with my kids and it was so fun. So, yes, COVID, stressful, terrible thing, but there's been an awakening in the family. And so like that's been a huge blessing in disguise. I would say that's been God working through this mess and just
Making it good.
making it good. That's what he
That's
does.
what he
Praise him
does.
for it. And so there's been a lot of families coming to life again, parents spending time with their children, children getting to know their parents amidst all this. But one thing I did want to talk about, because you did bring up stress and patience and the testing of patience. My patience has been tested with my kids and my husband. And we've both been stressed out, because day after day, more and more things are closing. And so you think about jobs, you think about money, you think about a ton of stuff. And with the stress comes strife. And I was thinking about Psalm 4:4 today. And it says, be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. And there's something to be said about that because we are most retired from the world when we're most away from it. That's when we're most open to having conversations and communion with God. Finding that community, that interdependence with God, which
Mhm.
is the most interdependent thing that we need. He created us to love, to worship, to be in relationship with Him, and we need Him, period. So, yeah, that's one thing I think amidst the anger or the strife that may come up in our homes, which are a little bit more cramped and crowded now that everybody's home,
Mhm.
just finding a moment to retreat, whether that's when the kids are napping or
Like what we're
you
doing
need to
now.
enforce a quiet time where they just pick up a book or something. Yes, right now we
We're at
have
mom's.
right now we're on mom's bed. Yeah, so we're really biblical because we have,
We are on the
we were a
bed.
little frustrated today. So we're on mom's bed right now, meditating within our hearts, and we're still and we're also talking. We're also talking, so it's okay.
It's okay.
But yes, so we've been quarantined in our homes. So we're on a quarantine retreat and now we're quarantined in our mom's house for the
Down the
night,
street.
just for a couple hours. And it's a blessing that mom's so close that we can do that. Yeah, you just need to find a place of stillness, a place of quietness, and just redirect your thoughts and realize what God's doing in the greater scheme of everything and what He's doing in your own heart, in your own home, in your own family, in all of this.
Well, I love in the beginning of Genesis when he is creating mankind and he realizes just having Adam alone is not good. And so he creates Eve and he
Hmm.
creates this triune fellowship. And so I just that doesn't stop. You
Hmm.
know, God is always continually making things good.
Hmm.
He's making this, you know, when people are isolated, he sees that. He sees, hey, you're lonely mentally, physically, emotionally.
Hmm.
That's not good. And so he's bringing opportunities.
Hmm.
Maybe the entire world, this is how God's using this. You know,
Hmm.
everybody was lamenting that social media is making them, you know, more lonely. So God
Now
is
people,
using
there are so
this.
many people that are isolated without having their family
I
around them.
know, I know.
Like
And
you and I are
so,
so blessed
but
to have
now
each
we're
other and our
aware
parents.
of it
Yeah.
so much so that we are like, how can we help,
Exactly. Yes.
Whereas before it was like, too bad, too sad,
Mm,
keep posting the highlights,
yeah. No, now I feel like we've become more aware. And now a lot of people are relying on social media in a good way.
hmm
So that's good.
It's seriously like, hey, raise your hand if you're lonely. Don't post your
Mhm.
best life. We need to find you.
Mhm.
It's very much more of a rescue-esque feel on Facebook and
Yeah.
on Instagram right now.
But yeah, I appreciate that shift for sure. So we talked about, the awakening of the family life, amidst this horrible illness. There's also been an awakening of talents that I've kind of seen also on social media, like a lot of people trying to learn how to cook,
hmm
trying to learn how to bake. I myself tried to learn a few chords the other day on piano and on guitar. That's been just refreshing. Just to have time to try something, to not be distracted with, okay, I gotta put all this together because we have a play date, or I gotta get my kids ready for school, and we have places to be, things to go. Da, 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 da.
Well, I saw this. Listen to this. I saw this status floating around, and a friend sent it to me. In World War II, everyone in Great Britain was hunkered down in the fear of the bombings from Germany. During that time, C.S. Lewis began a radio broadcast. That broadcast became a book, Mere Christianity. The Apostle Paul, under house arrest, wrote most of the New Testament.
Mhm.
And Isaac Newton was 20 years old when the bubonic plague forced people into their version of social distancing. During his year away from Cambridge, he created the theory of gravity.
Yeah. So, isolation, even though we weren't made to be alone, it does have its positives. God meets us. I think this is an answer. We're never alone.
hmm
No matter how isolated we feel, God meets us there. And that's just something so beautiful because we were not created to be alone. But in these moments of quarantine, when people happen to be in them, whether it's the bubonic plague or bombs or COVID-19, we're keenly aware more than ever that God is with us, that we are not alone. We have that interdependence with Him. We meet with Him. We find that time, and He reveals things to us, whether it's a passion to cook, and He gives us that energy just to find something new about ourselves, or those talents of music, or with like C.S. Lewis
hmm
writing. So
Well,
that these beautiful things come out of these terrible tragedies, whether it's bombs or diseases, because we're able to more clearly see God's purpose and design for our lives and find those talents and lean into Him and into those talents and give birth to some life
well,
amidst death.
Austin, your husband, said to my husband earlier that I think earlier today that you and him have kind of taken steps to not be anxious about tomorrow because you really honestly don't know what's going to
You
happen.
can't do anything about
So,
it.
what I think that creates is a kind of a clear slate. And so, if you're operating in the peace of the Holy Spirit
Hmm.
and you kind of clear out your schedule, I think that's where God gives you those that energy that you're talking
Hmm.
about. And those sounds like, hey, because you are not anxious, because you are choosing to live in peace, my peace, this is the fruit that's going to bear.
Hmm.
And so, it's not just going to happen where you just find this energy. It's actually choosing, hey, Jesus, I'm going to give you my tomorrow because I
Hmm.
don't know what that's going to look like, and I'm going to just trust you. And with that, God says, okay, here's my peace, and now you can breathe in these talents, in this fruit.
Hmm. Yeah. So, we've seen awakenings in the family and ourselves, and then also just in our society. And, someone who also lives just up the road from us in our society is our mother. And so we invited her to speak with us tonight. Stephanie Turner is here with us tonight.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
I'm always here.
This is your home.
Yes, it is.
So, we wanted to kind of talk about the awakening of society. And one thing that you and our sister Sierra are keenly aware of and really kind of up on are businesses. And you and Sierra have seen a lot of businesses kind of, you termed it reinventing themselves with this.
Yes. It's not even businesses. It's I think any type of establishment, Fortune 500 companies right now. There's so many different businesses that have always had this attitude of we don't do remote employees. You
hmm
have to be in the office. And now everybody's out.
Yeah.
And they're starting to see that not only does it work, but it works well. It's something that's working every day and we're getting better at it. And there's a lot of us, like myself, who works remotely, and we feel like the veterans in the field. And
Yeah, like nothing changed when we went
no,
into
yes.
quarantine.
Yeah, no, we're like, welcome to the party.
Welcome.
Welcome to the party. Yes, this is what we've been doing, but it does work. I think they're figuring that out. So that's been something that's been very enlightening to, I think, a lot of the people on my team. I get a lot of emails from people that are saying, hey guys, I know you're feeling isolated, or this is what we're doing. And there's so many of us, we've already been doing this. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of moms and dads that work remote, they've already been doing this, and they're like, hey, this is my life every day.
Hmm.
You
Mhm.
guys, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been interesting to see that evolve.
And then you're also the matriarch of the family, and you supply the majority of food to all of us all the time. So you're on the foodie knowledge too.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I have really enjoyed seeing in the last just a couple weeks. I mean, this has just been happening so quickly, but
Probably only in the last week.
yeah, but I have always cooked for the band. I make everything band size,
Mhm,
right?
yeah.
And that's one thing in our
Our
book,
book.
Echo. Yeah,
We have band
a lot
size
of our
recipes.
recipes are band size macaroni salad. I mean, that's how I have cooked for so many years, because we cooked for the band, for the entourage, for everybody. I had a big family. I had three girls and all of their friends and all the band members, and then people that, I mean, there were so many times. And so, yeah, it's always been like that. So I still even shop and do things like that. And it's been very different the last few weeks, especially the last week, going to the store. I made steaks tonight for dinner that I bought from a restaurant that was running a little special to
They're
try to
survival
their
kits.
survival
Uh-huh.
kits. Yes. And so what you got from that was
A massive hunk of meat.
a massive hunk of meat that you had to cut yourself,
Right.
a whole chicken, a bunch of vegetables in a box, a gallon of milk, tw- 15 eggs, and a roll of toilet paper.
And that's all you need.
But you know what? I'm using every bit of that.
I
Yeah.
made fried green tomatoes with mine.
Yes, I did
Yeah,
my
I never do
Brussels
that.
sprouts, and I roasted Brussels sprouts, and I felt like I was having a gourmet meal.
Yeah.
And it's taken us out of that box. It's helped us kind of figure out, hey, this is a little outside of what I normally do. But one of the things that was very interesting for me is I'm a very basic shopper. I have the staples in my house all the time. I have not had a bag of potatoes in my house for 2 weeks because I cannot find potatoes in
Really?
my store. Yes.
Wow. I didn't
Yes.
realize that.
And so you kind of start thinking, what can I do with my meal? What I normally I make a baked potato, or
What
I
is
would do
that
this,
show?
but
Chopped or something?
yes,
Yes. We
yes,
just have to make up
yes.
stuff.
They give you like 47 weird things, and you have to
Uh-huh.
figure out how
Yeah.
to
So
make
we're
something
all in our own episode
gourmet.
of Chopped.
Yes, we are.
Yes. But one thing that you mentioned earlier was just how restaurants are getting creative. So we got this big hunk of meat, each of
Yes,
us,
yes,
because of this restaurant that's doing this survival care
yes,
package because they can't open their doors. So restaurants are even reinventing themselves. We're reinventing ourselves in our homes. We're rediscovering our families. And then we go out to get food and restaurants are like, hey, look what we're doing.
yes. But you know what? There's an old saying that they say, find a need and meet it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in the time that we're in, the old adage of necessity is the mother of invention,
Mm-hmm.
crisis is the father of reinvention.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying now to figure out how to take who we are,
Mm-hmm.
reinvent ourselves, and survive.
Mm-hmm.
And no, a lot of people might be saying, that sounds pretty dire. Oh, survive.
No,
But hey,
these
we're all,
businesses are going to go under.
right.
Like, yeah, okay, a lot of us may still have our jobs, praise God. But there's some businesses that may not be around.
No,
We're driving around today. Britt and I are looking at some construction. I'm like, I wonder when that's going to get finished now.
yes, yeah,
My goodness.
right.
Things have been put on hold
It has. And
economically.
everybody in their industry, no matter what industry you're in, you're being affected by this. And we're having to change every day.
And reinvention. Yeah.
There's a saying about, it's something is a fluid situation. Well, fluid situations are just that. There's fluid there. Fluids have a tendency to sometimes change us.
Mhm.
if you think about a canyon is carved
Mm-hmm.
by the water that flows through it.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are not there temporarily. Once they're etched, it's there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And
look at what salt water does to glass.
absolutely.
Or cars.
Yeah, that's true. But my hope is that maybe there's a little bit of us that will find the better part of ourselves in this, and
Mhm.
we're
Yeah.
going to learn to be better, and
Be the
that
glass, not the car.
exactly. And whatever the fluid situation has done to us that possibly changed us, it's for the better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after 9/11, we had a lot of things happen. There was that saying that we were on wartime footing,
Hmm.
and that's kind of how we are now.
With the silent enemy kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You know, just like you and I had a conversation the other night, Brittany, and we were talking about Abraham Lincoln, his second inaugural address, when
Hmm.
he talked about how we're not enemies, but we're friends,
Hmm.
and we need to find our better angels. And I think there's so much of that right now happening, and not just in our country. I mean, our country was definitely polarized before this, but the world, everybody is starting to feel like Italians or Chinese or people in South Korea
Mm-hmm.
or wherever. We're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
This
It's
is something,
humanity.
it is humanity, and has brought us together in that regard. And we are not enemies, but we are friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we will find those better angels, and we will all help each other. And whatever we discover here will help someone else.
That's what I love about what Mariah, when she introduced tonight, she said that we're all now set on a common path.
Yeah, we're all on the same
Absolutely.
path of isolation.
Yes.
And so, one thing that Brittany and I have been talking about tonight is just the necessity for interdependence amidst COVID,
Absolutely.
and leaning on not only being interdependent with God, but
And that's
interdependent with each
That's
other.
a choice. That's where we take our postures.
Because
That's where
we've seen independence,
Right.
people that are
Yes.
hoarding,
Yes.
and we've seen people realize that maybe they were dependent or codependent. Now that they're isolated, they're like, I have no value. I can't socialize. And they realize that about themselves. And so we've just been talking about the importance of interdependence.
And
So,
one thing about, I know a lot of people that maybe hoarded. Some people might have done it
out
to
of fear,
profit.
right? Or to
Well,
profit.
some people did it out of profit.
Yeah.
Because they thought, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch and I'm going to try to resell it on eBay and make a bank. Right. And they're getting shut down. Right. But there are
Mariah's in
some people
Jurassic
that,
Park here.
right. But there's some people that did it and they just felt like they just were doing the right thing by their families. By,
Right.
hey, I want to make sure I have enough. But what I'm finding now is what I'm seeing on Facebook and different social media platforms is someone's crying out saying, I don't have baby
yeah.
wipes. I don't have diapers.
And they said, I have an extra. I have
and
this.
people are giving
I know. I
out of
love
what
it.
they have. And not only are they not having to pay them, I mean, they're giving from what they have. So these people that may have just been able to go to the store and buy it normally, they're getting it for free now.
Mhm.
And so there is good coming out of
Right.
it because people are finding that they have maybe bought too much
Out
and
of
they're
fear.
right, but then they're giving out
Yeah.
of grace.
Especially out of grace and out of realization that we've been given another day. And when all of a
Yes.
sudden, wait, it's another day. And that CDC call that quote unquote is happening with
the
lockdown.
one that's looming or the
Yes.
lockdown.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
not really happening today. And I was like, oh, well, this
Yes.
person is
And if we have one more day
immediate need.
and we can do it, and then people can find
Can you
the
imagine
ability to do something good
us
by
getting
their neighbor.
stronger every single day, what that would look like,
Yes.
and just kind of, hey, let's try another day. Just taking it one day at a time.
Yes. So I believe that there's Satan, what he meant for evil, God is going to turn for the good.
Yeah, we touched on that too.
Yeah.
There's so
always does.
much good. And no, God did not cause this, but God will use this.
Amen.
He will.
All right. And to close this out, we just want to say a word of prayer. Father, we thank you so much for being with us today and for just giving us the conversation amidst a world that feels isolated right now. Thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for bringing these listeners here. And I pray, Lord, that they were encouraged and that they can now see with clear eyes and open hearts and open minds how you are working amidst the scare of COVID and how fear has no place in our lives, only faith, Lord, and knowing that you are doing a mighty work in our society, in our families, and in our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And you can find our book that we collectively wrote as a family, Echo, Reaching for Authenticity, on harmonyroads.com. As Harmony Roads, we also like to leave with a harmony as well.
Broken windows and empty hallways, a pale dead moon in a sky streaked with gray. Human kindness is overflowing, and I think it's going to rain today. Scarecrows dressed in the latest styles, the frozen smiles to chase love away. Human kindness is overflowing, and I think it's going to rain today. Lonely, lonely, tinkling at my feet, I'll kick it down the street. That's the way to treat a friend. Right before me, the signs implore me, help the needy and show them the way. Human kindness is overflowing, and I think it's going to rain today.